everybody? Glad to have you back for the next episode of the On the Field podcast. This one's a little recorded a little later in the week. We're recording this on Sunday, March 19th. It will be released tomorrow, Monday, March 20th. Today we have on Danny Serretti. He was a sixth-round draft pick by the Detroit Tigers in this past 2022 MLB draft. And he was the starting shortstop at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, for the past 4 years. So this is going to be a real fun interview to have on. I'll tell a little bit of a story when Danny comes on, but I've had the chance to drink some beers with Danny. Really, really good guy. I met him through my friend Will, who I played with at Iona College. And one time Danny visited us for SantaCon. Nico, have you ever been to a SantaCon in New York City?
I went to the one in Hoboken this year, and it was very poorly planned. Me and my buddies, we actually went out the night before because we just were like, we won't go to this one. We won't go to this one, right? Whatever. And then we wake up and we're like, ah, shit, like we're kind of bored, like might as well go. But we didn't. Like, have you been to the one in Hoboken before?
Yeah, I've been to both City and Hoboken.
So like you have to buy like these wristbands to get into places, right? And then we show up there, and we're standing in line for 2 hours, and we have no wristband. So after like 2 hours of standing there, we just kind of we got lost. So next year we got to plan it a little bit better.
Yeah, lines during SantaCon are not fun. Me and Danny waited on a bunch of lines, and we ended up having a good time. We ended up meeting up with Jack Leiter actually in New York City this 2 SantaCons ago, and he recently was drafted by the Rangers, and he had a nice signing bonus in his bank account, so he bought us a few drinks. So that was a fun time getting to connect with him.
He better. That's great.
Yeah,
what's so cool, dude? It's so cool about being a college athlete and doing stuff like this. And this is kind of, I at least feel so blessed to have certain friends that have been able to help me out with this business, but just purely based on like the relationships that you have, because, you just happen to play college baseball with this kid, Will, because you guys are, in the same situation at the same school. And now, you're helping me out, like building this business, and we're doing a great job. And now you launched this podcast, which has been great. And now we're having like a pretty well-regarded prospect on the Tigers on, and now we get to know him, and then maybe we get to know some of his teammates, and it's a complete like ripple effect, and it's all about like just putting yourself out there. I don't know. I think how everything happens it's just so cool.
It is very cool, and I tell people that like when you go to college as a college athlete and not as a regular student, you automatically have 35 new friends. And you don't have to be buddy with them, all of them, but you're going to be sharing a locker room with all 35 to 40 guys. So, you have to try to get to know each person at some sort of capacity to build a relationship so that when it's your opportunity to be out there on the field, they're rooting for you. When it's their opportunity, you're rooting for them. And, it's the overall goal of winning baseball games together and creating lifelong memories. It's, everyone talks about the goal of winning a championship, and it's really cool to see here at Tampa when they have past championship teams come back and all meet together like 20, 30 years later. And that's something that I'm hoping, this year we're off to a really good start. We're 20-4 right now, and hopefully going for another national championship. But like, it's not just like being in the moment and winning the game now. It's like, I would love for every year for the rest of my life or every 2-3 years, everyone on the team blocks out a weekend and we all come back to Tampa and get to meet up, watch the new Tampa players come through. And it's just bonds that are help you create relationships forever.
Yeah. It's really, Dan's
really
hopping
cool.
in here, but
yeah, we got Danny joining in now. Let's see, he's joining in. What's up, Danny? How you doing? Just to let you know, we are recording already. It's super laid back, super chill type podcast. I mean, we want it to be us building a relationship with you and helping you get your story out there. If you want to crack any beers open, be free to. I have some in the fridge. I drank a little last night, so I'm a little hungover today, but I took a nap and I'm feeling a little better. We really appreciate you taking some time and hopping on today.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for having me.
Dan,
no problem.
nice to
my
meet
partner,
you.
Nico.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man. I'm Nico. Thanks
Nice
for hopping on.
Bro.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
was I was starting to tell a little bit, Danny, the story of how we met. So Danny came to SantaCon, and he's friends with Will Jennings, and we lived in a house with 9 other guys. And I remember Danny walking in and being like, "All right, like this is gonna be some fun. Like, it's just 9 of us guys on a team together, living in this like old house where basically all we did was drink beers and play baseball." So we me and Danny went to high school at the same time, and we actually were supposed to play each other. We were in the same group. I don't know if you remember this, Danny, but our team was really good in high school, Pascack Hills, and your team,
Yeah.
Governor Livingston, was really good. And I remember talking to Will about going to Iona, but then also talking to him about how we might end up playing. And now, fast forward a few years, and Danny's on the Detroit Tigers down in Tampa, and we get to meet up last weekend at the bar McDitton. So that was a lot of fun, being able to meet up with you in a new city. So what does it look like for you being down here in Tampa compared to being up north in the Northeast? Like, what is your day-to-day schedule looking like nowadays with spring training starting?
Um, yeah, it's pretty different. I'm not gonna lie. I get up pretty much every day at 5 a.m.
Wow.
And yeah, I got to be out the door at 5:30 to get over to Lakeland, which is about 30 minutes by 6. That's when breakfast opens, and then then the day starts after breakfast. So yeah, it's been actually like a big adjustment because I'm usually up till at least midnight, and I've been going to bed now like every day, probably around like 9:30, 10, latest 10.
Yeah.
So that's why it's even like cooler that I was able to go out, especially with Savage the other weekend, because that was my
Yeah.
off day in like 6 weeks.
So you've been grinding for the past 6 weeks, and I mean, you've been through the grind playing at UNC. Like, you obviously were at a Power Five school where you have the facilities, you have the time where you have to be logging hours. But like, what's the differences so far between your days here in Tampa versus your days at UNC?
Yeah, I mean, for one, no class, obviously. It's just baseball all the time. So I mean, I actually just got home. I was texting you. I just got home 25 minutes ago from the field. I showed up there today at 6 a.m. So like we
Wow.
it's an entire day, yeah, and we didn't even travel today. So if we traveled, we would have I would have been home even later. But yeah, I mean, it's just baseball all the time. I mean, you show up there, you hit the tubs, you get your stretching in. If you have a lift, you get that in real early. Today I lifted at like 7. Um, then you have early hitting. Then you get on the field. You stretch there. You work out as a team, which could take an hour a little bit. Um, and then you break for lunch, and then you have a scrimmage, or you play. We just started actual minor league spring training, so we played the Blue Jays today. But
Nice. How'd that go?
it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
I went 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Still getting that timing down, but yeah,
Getting
man.
in the game. I mean, who did you face? Any big arms or any arms that we would know?
No, like top prospects. I don't think. I mean, I've gotten a few ABs in the big league games. I got a hit off a guy named Packy Naughton, who is a big leaguer. But
I don't know that name. You know that name, Nico?
No, I haven't heard of a Packy. No.
yeah, I hadn't either. But he told me that he was a big leaguer, so I was like, nice.
Dan, are you normally like a morning guy? Because when I can get myself up at like 5 or 6, because I don't mind doing it. It's just sometimes it's a little bit harder some days, but I feel like those days for me are so much like more productive, or I just feel more like fulfilled, like on days like that. Like, is that something that you like to do, or is this kind of like something new that you've had to get used to?
So when I was in high school, Will knows this. When I was in high school, I would get up pretty early, like 4:35, to
Wow.
the gym before school. But college, I never woke up that early. Maybe once a month for like a 6 a.m. workout. Um, but no, I've always really liked my sleep, and I've never really gone to bed early. So I definitely had to get used to it. But I mean, after I got used to it, it honestly hasn't been too bad. I mean, I'm tired now by 8:30. So
Yeah, I bet.
it's funny how like what your like
You
sleep
get
schedule.
into a routine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just completely shifts. Whereas I wasn't getting tired till like 11:30. Now I'm getting tired at like 8:30. So I've
Yeah.
gotten used to it. It was tough for the first few days, but now I get my 7.5 hours sleep. So it's not bad.
Nice. Yeah, I've gotten really into yoga this year. Me and one of my teammates have been going a lot, and there's some days where we'll go at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. And dude, those are like my best days. But you're right, I'm shot by like even like 8 o'clock some days just because I'm still playing ball too. So I'll do that, then I'll go through like a few classes, then we have practice, and on top of like making food and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm right there with you, dude.
Yeah, but it does feel like you get a lot of stuff done for sure.
There's
Absolutely.
not enough hours in the day sometimes. So
Yeah,
Danny, what's
getting up early makes them.
yeah, no, yeah, that's what I've realized. Like, I mean, I've become a more early person too, like waking up at least 7:38 every day, even if I don't have to be at the field till 2, because you got other things you got to do, and working here at Elevate now, and just reaching out to people, connecting with people, always trying to grow the network. And sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. So one question I love asking everyone we have on here, Danny. So you're a younger guy, obviously, and you know people get to know, like, look up like what you made or what your signing bonus is, this or that. But like going into a locker room, like as a new guy, as a younger guy, there's some guys who are still at the level that you're at, and they're 40, no, maybe not 40, but like mid 30s and uppers. So like, what is the locker room like compared to at college? Obviously, everyone at college, kind of no one's paid yet, and some people make money on the sides now with NIL deals. But what is the locker room like in spring training so far? Is it like the similarities and differences to college?
Um,
Like,
I
are
mean,
you building relationships with 30, 35-year-olds? Like, are you
oh
asking
yeah,
them to go hang out after, or are they mentoring you, things like that?
yeah. I mean, not asking the big leaguers to go hang out just yet. Maybe
Yeah.
later. But yeah. I mean, being in that locker room is completely different because, like you said, not 40-year-olds, but more like 30, 35-year-olds. Definitely there. They have families. They've made millions of dollars throughout their career. So it's cool. I mean, they're all super, super nice guys. You would never know. But yeah, I mean, it's just different. You come out of the locker room and a guy goes and meets up with his family, and his 5-year-old kid, So,
Yeah.
but they're super nice and they know that we're there for a reason. So they kind of try to make the effort to go up and talk to you and kind of try to relate to you. But we're all baseball rats. So, I mean, whenever I have the opportunity to talk to somebody, even like Miggy, who he actually is 40, you take that obviously and you try to make the most of it and you just kind of chop it up.
Yeah.
What
Have
are
you had
some of
any
the things that
opportunity? Yeah.
I that was my next, yeah, I gotta know like what you would talk about with a guy like Miggy. That's unreal.
I mean, he's like the most lighthearted guy ever. I mean, I was gonna say a story, but I'll say like a PG version of it. Like he'll be like pretending to show you something.
You can be. It's uncensored. You can tell whatever
I
you
don't
want.
want to. I
Also,
don't want to
the
out him.
platform's not too big yet. Okay. Okay.
But he'll show something like on his phone, and he'll pretend like it's baseball related. He'll be like, "Oh, like yeah, like this is interesting," and then he'll kind of look over to you and be like, "Hey, you think he's keeping his hands in there?" And it's just nothing to do with baseball. Like he'll do stuff like that. He's hilarious. But yeah, a lot of the guys like they'll just answer any questions that you have. Kind of tell their stories. Really cool to listen to and stuff. So it's kind of that stuff.
Yeah, how's my boy Jahan doing? I went to high school with him at St. Joe's in New Jersey. I don't know if you've had too much
Oh,
time to
okay.
hang out
Yeah.
with him, but just want to know how he's doing in spring training.
Yeah, I mean we've gone up. He was started in big league camp. I was never officially in big league camp, but I have went up for like 8 or 9 games. So I've seen him up there then, and now he's mostly working out with the AAA team, and I'm mostly working out with the AA team. So we're not working out too closely together, but I'll see him in the gym before and all that. And we're two Jersey kids. We've known each other since high school as well, and I mean he rakes. They traded for him. They're excited for him. It seems like, and I wouldn't be too surprised if he cracked the big leagues this year.
Yeah, that'd be
Wow.
great. I've done some work with Jahan, just like through Elevate and stuff like that. But he's a great kid, man. He like I always kind of like describe him as like he never gets like too big for like what he has going on around him, and he's always been like well regarded. But you said it, like he could make the team this year. And even like me and Paul saw him this winter, and like nothing's changed about him. He's always very level headed, always with a smile, like shaking hands, like just a great kid. But I'm glad to hear that he's doing well.
Yeah, super nice
You
guy.
probably played against him too, right? When you were at UNC and he was at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah, he was raking that year in 21. I think he hit a home run against us, but yeah, they won that series. Yeah,
So what is
huh?
what were you saying?
I was just saying him and it's funny because he's boys now with my boys, Steve Reed and Drew Compton. So
Yeah,
yeah,
those kids who also went to Georgia Tech. I was just wondering what like communication is like with big league organizations. So like when they're telling you to go to a big league spring training game, right? Are they just sending you a text being like, "Hey, show up to the locker room at this time"? Are you getting an email? What is that like communication like? Or like even pre-draft stuff? Like what are they telling you? Or is it mostly through communication with your agent? Or kind of just tell the listeners like when you're a highly regarded, college baseball player, what is communication like with an MLB organization?
Yeah, so all right, well when before you're with the organization, you can do it either way. I didn't want to talk to them at all, really. I wanted to just focus on baseball, so I had it all through my agent. And then he would kind of relay the information to me. They'll sometimes kind of just surprise call you and kind of just see what's up, and then you'd have a conversation. But I pretty much had all draft talks and money talks, whatever, go through my agent. And then when you're actually in the organization, it's completely different. They have a WhatsApp group or WhatsApp, I think it's called WhatsApp group chat.
Really?
Yeah, and it depends what you're doing. So I remember like we had a post draft WhatsApp because when they had us down in Lakeland, and they would shoot stuff through that. And then I went to a hitting camp down here in Lakeland in December. Then they made a WhatsApp chat for that. And then now that there's we're in spring training, they have a huge WhatsApp spring training chat pretty much with every minor leaguer in the system. And
Wow.
That might be because there's guys from other countries. I know that WhatsApp is very popular with like speaking with people across the world. So that could be why.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's so interesting because me and Nico have talked about like with some of our players at Elevate when we want to mass communicate, we're like, let's just make a group me. And then we're like, wait, is that unprofessional to like have a group me? But now like hearing from you, like big league organizations are using WhatsApp. Like everyone needs to be able to communicate with everyone sometimes. And how else are you going to do that unless, everyone has one app that they can all communicate from?
For sure. Yeah, I don't think a group me would be at UNC. That's how they communicated with us, group me. So I don't think it's something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so interesting. And so what like now when they tell you to go to a game, right, is that like an individual text or is that through they'll send the roster or in the WhatsApp?
Yeah, I mean, they'll send pretty much like an itinerary for the day. And at the top it'll say like, the other day we went to Venice to play the Braves, and it says like 8 a.m. bus, and then this is like highlighted at the top. It's like 8 a.m. bus, and then it says like they're called hot and ready minor league players to go, and then it has them all listed out. It's like usually 10, 12 guys all listed out at the top. And then after that, then there's the itinerary for like the minor league schedule of the day and what Toledo's doing, what Erie's doing, what West Michigan, so it's pretty just laid out there for you. Pretty cool.
And is it like day to day they tell you the communication, or is it like for the week you'll know for the 2 weeks, or it's basically how you're playing probably, right? Like day to day.
It's very much day to day. I mean, it's pretty hard to like plan stuff out because you have no idea until that day. That's why talking about when Savage was here, I didn't know I was going to get an off day. I just got it after that, and we were so hyped, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's day to day. Pretty much, I think I got mine just before I hopped on the call. I got it like 6:21 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for tomorrow. Yeah.
What's like the biggest difference so far between like being with the big leaguers and and the minor league guys in terms of like what you do every day, or is it pretty much the same things that everyone does, or like how's that work?
Big league spring training is definitely way better than minor league spring training.
I couldn't imagine that being true.
Yeah, there's definitely perks to it. I would say the biggest thing is the minor league spring training, and not saying the big league spring training doesn't, but I would say the minor league spring training has a huge emphasis on fundamentals. So like we're still doing rundowns, we're still doing bunt defenses, we're still doing communication on pop-ups. That we did that today, like stuff like that. Big leaguers, they're expected to know all that stuff, and to do that stuff, they're expected to be, seasoned professionals. So they don't necessarily
Right.
go through all that. Whereas we spend a decent amount of time a day on that.
Interesting. Okay. That makes sense though. I mean, like at the big league camp, you'll have guys there that probably have close to like 10 years of experience, and but then like what exactly like are they doing every day? Is it more kind of just like BP, like get some light reps in, like what are those guys focusing on?
Yeah, I mean they get after it for sure. But they'll do more like individualized early work, or ground balls. They'll do a lot of live at bats. They always got live at bats rolling. I mean, now that the big league spring training starts, they're pretty much their spring training is games. They'll have a couple times a week they'll go in and do early hitting, or a couple times a week they'll go in and do some defense. That is very individualized. Pretty much they're just playing games.
So what did practices look like for you guys? Like, so obviously at UNC, you guys probably had you were there for 4 years, right? So you had, the practice schedule you got used to there. Is it similar where it's like individuals, you're taking ground balls, and you're hitting off a pitcher throwing BP, maybe going over some situational stuff, and maybe even, do you guys do any sort of scouting reports yet, or that's way too early in spring training to be doing anything like that?
Yeah, no scouting reports just yet. Those are really big though once we get into the season. But yeah, I mean, honestly, credit to UNC. It's pretty similar to the practice portion of it. Just your typical, you got base running, you got your defense, your team defense usually, then your individualized defense. You got your early hitting, then you got your hitting on the field, whether that's a dude throwing or like some crazy machine setups. So it's that portion of it is pretty similar to college, which, obviously credit to them. They do it right.
Yeah. So we'll segue back into the college days a little bit here. I got my stats off the UNC Chapel Hill page, so correct me if I'm wrong, but second team all ACC last year, batted .365, 10 home runs, .475 slugging. So obviously had a really good year. What is like the biggest change you've seen in big league arms to college arms? Have you seen anything yet? Or like, does the game move a little bit faster? Like, when you go from high school to college, you're like, okay, I can see the game's moving a little faster now, but UNC being as high of a level it is, do you see that much of a difference in the game moving faster now?
Yeah, I mean, people always try to like, I've always heard the SEC is like AA, or the ACC is like high A. And honestly, it's so hard to compare. Like being through that now, like having played in those levels, having played against SEC teams, having played in high A, AA, they're so hard to compare because it's just different. It's just a different style, really. I mean, I feel like in college, you can throw gas and not pitch.
Yeah.
Because it's so much about winning, and if you don't throw strikes, you're not going to pitch. Whereas in pro ball, if you throw gas, and I'm talking like gas, like 100.
Now three digits.
Yeah, you're not going to pitch. They're going to pitch you because they want to develop you into, a dude, a guy that they can use on the big league team eventually. So like low A, you got dudes throwing 100, but they have no idea where it's going. And then high A, you got dudes throwing 195, and they can throw their fastball where they want it, and they can throw one off speed. But usually nothing really outside of that, except for the best guys. And then double A, it's dudes throwing 95, 100, maybe 100 plus, with two off speed pitches they can throw in the zone at any time. and pretty good command of their fastball. So like college, I feel like you don't see as much like electric arms like that can just dot up.
Hmm.
But
Sometimes they're more throwers. Yeah.
yeah, they're more But then in college you can run into some good like pitchers. Guys that are throwing 90, 92 that are spotting up here can throw flipping pitches, off speed pitches when they want. So it's just different. I would say obviously pro ball is tougher. Those guys are there for a reason, but that's not taking credit away from college pitchers. There are some really good college pitchers that are you know
Definitely. Yeah, they get drafted every year, and who was some of the arms in college you remember facing? Like, who are some guys that, like, when you stepped in the box, you had those good competitive matchups against? Any specific arms you can remember?
Yeah, so actually talking about that brings up a good point. Like some of these guys that I'm listing off, those are like your pro guy, like your prototypical pro guys that you think about when you think about double A pitching. So like a guy I'm about to name, Andrew Abbott from UVA, electric
Oh,
fast.
I know that name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a first or second rounder a couple years ago. Lefty, super high spin rate guy. That's another thing. Spin rate is huge in pro ball. It's not as big in college. But this Abbott kid, super high spin rate fastball. You'd think you'd be on it, and like there was a hole in your bat. And that's not obviously you don't see that every day. So it was really eye opening. Wipeout slider, good changeup. He was one. I don't know. Arkansas had some really good pitching. Oh gosh, Joe Boyle, Notre Dame,
Nice.
6'7" kid. He was like 100, 102, but he was a little wild, and now I think he's really figured it out. But he was scary to face for sure.
What is it like stepping into the box? You said like some guys, are throwing 3 digits and they don't know where it's going. So as a hitter, what is it like stepping into the box knowing that you might get drilled with like 100? I don't even want to bring that up to you. Maybe you don't even think about it. But like, what?
You can't, dude.
What
You
do
can't. You'll totally psych yourself out.
Yeah, you can't think about it. I mean, I'm lucky because I'm a switch hitter, so I feel like it's hard to miss kind of, pull. It's hard to like pull it and also
Yeah.
up, knock on wood, obviously. But if I was a righty going righty against a dude throwing 100, I would be crapping myself. I mean, I don't know how those guys do it. At least in the back, my like safety thought is, oh, he's not gonna pull yank this into my chin probably.
That makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Like,
that, that's a good point. No, that's a great point. Because I mean, I've experienced it, like, righties like missing like up and into me, and it's I would love to have like that luxury, like no, I'm going like 5 feet away on the other side. That is like a huge bonus for you.
right. I'll just get off the dish and I'll be good.
Yeah. Um, me and Paul were talking about before you hopped on, kind of like, and this is like totally like off topic, but I wanted to get your opinion on this. But we were talking about how like the relationships that we've made through playing college baseball, just playing like sports in general, like it's allowed me to start up this business. It's allowed me to meet Paul, and now like we're all talking together, and I'm sure that you've benefited from this. But like I just wanted to know, like, now moving into pro ball, it's like, how are you building those relationships with your teammates and your coaches? And have you seen that pay off like outside of baseball? Like it could be like in anything. And I guess it can apply to people in college that you've met as well.
Yeah, I mean, Paul said it best. Really, it's who you know. I mean, and the baseball community is in any level. I mean, I'm talking college, pro ball. It's really cool. I mean, you meet so many people, and you never know who can change your life. I mean, just off the top of my head, 3 of my teammates, I think from UNC, four of my teammates are now working together for one of my ex teammates' dad's company, and they're all working at a super successful company and making a lot of money. So kind of stuff like that. I mean, these dudes are from Arizona, California, Florida, just all different aspects of life, and then
Right.
Obviously in pro ball too. You got some guys that are pretty financially secure. Um,
Yeah.
and
It's a
they're
good way to put it.
always, yeah, they're always bouncing off ideas of stuff that they're into, and you know, it's at the end of the day, it is a business, so it is about making money, and these guys are all on the same team when it comes to that, and the connections they make. Just this brand right here, greatness wins. It's Jeter's
Jeter's
clothing.
brand.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And he got introduced to the guys from Untuck It, I think.
Oh, I've heard
Through
of that.
Yeah, through I forget. I literally was just told this story, but through someone, it had to do with baseball. But he got introduced to that. Boom, they're together. They make an apparel company. So stuff like
Yeah.
that happens all the time.
I've been seeing the like his whole thing with that brand. Did you get that hat through your agency? Because I've seen Excel do like a collab with Jeter's thing, and I thought it was okay. There you go.
Yeah.
I thought it was genius because I know that they've always worked with Jeter, and now I think it's a great thing to kind of. I mean, I'm sure like he's still a client of like some sort, but kind of bringing like a former client kind of with what he's doing now and helping out like guys like yourself. I mean, like what do you think of the brand? Is it like comfortable? Is it high quality stuff?
Oh yeah. So they call it the swag pack. They sent me a nice little swag pack. Got shorts, shirts, sweatshirts. Got a collared shirt, like a little golf shirt. Got this hat. Nice little makeup bag. But yeah, it's really cool stuff. Reminds me a lot of Lulu, like that kind of material. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's I had actually never heard of it until I got it, and then I started looking into it. But yeah, I love it so far. I've had it for about 3 weeks, I think.
No, it looks great,
Question
man.
I
It looks
have
great.
is like, so now once getting drafted by the Tigers, right? Do you have a bunch of brands and people, companies reaching out to you trying to do deals with you now? And is it like, whoa, kind of back off? I don't really need to do any of this right now. I want to focus on baseball. Or is it like, your agency is doing, because me and Nico are aspiring sports agents. Hopefully,
Right.
after this year, we'll get certified and start doing that type of stuff. But it's just interesting to me to hear, like, as soon as you get drafted, right, and your name starts getting popped up on MLB Network, and your name is at a way bigger platform. Are there brands DMing you, trying to email you, reach out to you, like that type of stuff?
Yeah. So I remember right after I got drafted, the next day they flew me down to Lakeland, obviously, and got my physical, all signed the contract, and then it was like boom, next day, I have workouts, and I'm like, I have no equipment or thing, like I have nothing to wear, so I called my agent, and I was like, so I have like no equipment and no clothes, like what am I supposed to do here? And he was like, oh, great, like forgot to tell you, your batting gloves and your bats are coming in from the brand that we hooked you up with, and then your shirts and your tights and all this stuff, that your sleeves, your headbands, they're all coming in, blah blah blah. So before I even knew it, I was hooked up with some stuff immediately, and then ever since then, yeah, I mean, I have some brands kind of hit me up on Instagram, kind of stuff like that. My agent will call me up and be like, so and so wants to do a deal, whatever. For now, I've taken a few things. For now, I'm trying to hold back on some stuff just because I'm still a prospect. So you don't want to like kind of make yourself, almost stuck in a contract before you make it to the show, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because you can kind of sell yourself short, undersell yourself there with that. So that's what
That
I
makes a
was
lot of
told.
sense.
So like Jayhen, I know Jayhen has done a lot of stuff. Obviously
Yeah.
he had a great year last year. He's about to make it to the big leagues. So he kind of, gets what he deserves or wants.
Yeah. Nico's actually helped him out with a few deals, right, Nico? Like LV Lumber, I think you set him up with, right? That
Yeah, yeah.
that deal.
I helped him out with his first bat deal. Got him some like free product with with some other companies. Like this is like kind of right when he first got drafted. Really lucky to work with a guy like Jahan. But yeah, man, I mean now he's working with like Under Armour and or he was with Mizuno last year. So really happy with everything he's got going on. He's killing it.
Yeah, he
That is
just
so
got that Under Armour, right?
Yeah, that's this year.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, that was not me. I'm not gonna take credit for that on this on this platform. I wish I could, but that definitely wasn't me. That was definitely the guys over at Excel.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of what I was talking about. Just that's a huge like that's a I'm sure he has a that's a great deal. Obviously, I'm sure he's
Yeah.
happy with it. And so that's kind of it's kind of like a cat and mouse of like when you're gonna sign a deal like that. When can you? When does it make sense? That's
I
interesting.
never even thought about it like that. It makes sense because if you go with a smaller company while you're a prospect because you're getting eager and want to do something with someone, sign too big of a contract, and then all of a sudden, you have a great year, and then Nike starts calling, and you're locked into a contract with, say some random other smaller company. It's like, I mean, what are we doing here? I just missed out on an opportunity to work with Nike.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, another question I had was talking about like the recruiting process at a high school. Obviously, a pretty highly sought recruit. Can you tell the listeners? Because I have younger kids that I talk to. I try to help them with the recruiting process. Tell them, go to camps, go to all these, talk with coaches, and get on the right club ball teams. But can you tell your story, what it was like? I'm pretty sure you were committed to St. John's, right? Out of first, and then can you tell that story to the listeners a little bit?
Yeah. My recruiting story is pretty interesting one. I will say the big thing that I learned from that was I was super eager in doing the camps, but I wasn't ready to do the camps.
Okay.
So I remember like my first perfect game showcase. I was 14. I ran a 7.760 and I threw 75 miles an hour across the diamond. And I think they ranked me like a 7th grade or whatever, 7 out of 10. So I would say that. I would say first, make sure you're ready for these camps, because you're not just going to the camps just to go to the camps. You're going to the camps to achieve something, right? You're going to the camps to get seen. So that's the first thing. Yeah, and then in terms of St. John's, I was committed to St. John's. I committed there when I was 15 years old, about a year after that.
That's so crazy for a 15-year-old to be deciding where they want to go to college.
I know, yeah. I was talking to my parents a couple weeks ago about it, actually. I just remember, St. John's had just been ranked that year. So I was hype about that, hype that they were all over me, wanted me to go to their school. I'm 15. I just finished my freshman year of high school. And I'm thinking, hey, top 25 school wants me. It's an hour away. I don't want to go. I don't want to be far from my mom. I remember that was a big, I was 15. So I was like, perfect. It's decent school, decent academics, perfect. So, verbally committed to them. As the years went on, I started playing, I got stronger, faster, a little better. I started playing on some national club teams, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing Ole Miss, I'm seeing Clemson, I'm seeing Alabama, I'm seeing Vanderbilt, and I'm seeing, all these schools, and I'm like, damn, I'm just as good as these guys. But whatever, I verbally committed to St. John, so didn't think I was going to be decommitting, and then next thing I know, the recruiting coordinator at St. John's had left to go to Maryland. Kind of didn't know what was going on. My class kind of fell apart. Everyone was decommitting, going to Tennessee, going to Alabama. I was like, shoot, I mean, I guess I'm going to decommit too. I don't want to go to school with no one there. So yeah, then decommitted, was in a tournament in Georgia, did really well in front of some important people, had some offers, and then decided on UNC, and that was going into my senior year. So that proves.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you don't have to. You definitely do not have to rush to choose your school.
Wow, that is a huge point. All these kids now just want to commit as early as possible, it seems like, and it goes back to being a 15-year-old or 14, 15-year-old. like I didn't even know what I wanted to wear to school the next day. How could I decide what college I wanted to go spend 4 years at? And all of these coaches trying to sell you things, and you hear, top, like you said, they were at a ranked school at the time, and you don't fully know like the different conferences yet either. Big East, SEC, ACC, Power Five schools. Like, once you start getting older and start realizing what all of these conferences are like and the opportunities it can provide you after college baseball, I mean, it kind of probably became a no-brainer once all of these other schools started hitting you up and the coach left that maybe was the first one to recruit you. And it's like, I don't want to go play for a guy who didn't recruit me. Who knows what, the other coaches are thinking.
It's such a big life decision. And, to have to do that, or not to have to do that, to do that so young, I think, it's jumping the gun a little bit. So I feel like it's kind of reverting back a little bit. I feel like I'm not hearing, like a 2030s committing yet.
Yeah.
Weird to think that, but
that is so crazy.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, I would just tell anyone, that's listening, I would just say, work as hard as you can, make yourself as good as a player. And then when you're ready, go show what you got, and the right coach and the right school will call your name.
Yeah.
What were those conversations with your parents like? Because like I'm sure as a young kid, it's hard to like. I mean, like we keep on saying it, like St. John's was like a ranked team. I'm sure it's very like sexy and like appealing to be like, oh, I have this on social media. I could say I'm committed here. Like how hard is that to not really like go for that and have like have the perspective like at the age of 15, like what school has my best interest? How can it set me up to maybe play pro ball, or like to set me up after I graduate? It's like what were those conversations like with your parents?
I mean, the thing was, my parents didn't really know anything either. I had a couple smaller schools in the area, in the Jersey area, and then St. John's, and they're all calling my house saying that they wanted me to go play college baseball for them. So my parents obviously had never experienced that. At the time, GL hadn't had, a crazy amount of people go play D1 baseball. So it was all super foreign. They had no idea too. I mean, they kind of thought it was weird that I was, being put in this spot and having to make a decision. But no, it was definitely a confusing time. I had to talk to a lot of people, get a lot of opinions, and at the end of the day, I didn't make the wrong decision. I just, the way it worked out, I didn't end up going to that school. But if I could go back and do it again, I probably would tell myself to hold out.
Yeah,
I would hold out at least another year.
No, that's really smart to tell people. I mean, whoever the younger listeners are, I know my younger cousin who's in high school listens to this, and I love trying to help them through this process because, like you said, it is so confusing to these younger kids. Like, how am I supposed to know where I want to spend 4 years of college when I still have 3 more years of high school left?
It's so stressful too. It's so stressful for young kids.
No, yeah,
because
you feel like you have to, just because you don't know if the scholarship's going to be there, or you don't know if the whole class is going to be filled up already. But like I said,
you want to show the coach that you want to go there. Like, you want to play as soon as you go there. If you hold out on him for 6 months, maybe he ends up holding a grudge against you once you get there.
Exactly, which is what I meant by, like, if you do wait, if you're good enough when you're perfect. Here's the best. Here's it summed up. If you're good enough when you're 14 to get a Division I scholarship, you're going to be good enough when you're 17.
Yeah, that's a good point.
As long as you continue to keep working and you continue to, take your.
If it's something you want, if you know that's what you want and you're going to keep working for it, you're going to develop in those 2 or 3 years and hopefully help you get to a better school.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Really cool. And then kind of, do you feel like it's similar right now, being when you went into an ACC school as a freshman and you start playing right away and you're playing in front of thousands of fans and you're only 17, 18 years old, younger guy in the locker room, and now you're 22 years old now, and you're playing at the big league level with other guys in the locker room, like we were saying, who are older. Is it everyone rooting each other on still the same? You feel like, is it very similar in the sense where you're the younger guy on the field, but the older guys, even though you might be taking a spot for them, they're still, mentoring you and trying to help you elevate your game?
Yeah, I mean, especially, the higher you go up to, the older the guys do get, obviously, just because that's just the way it is. But when I was in Double A this past year, I was asking a ton of questions with which a bunch of the guys. Some of the guys have been in pro ball for 3-4 years, some guys more. So yeah, same kind of feel. The older guys respect you, obviously, and they're going through the same thing. They're going through the grind of being a minor league player, and any questions you have, they're always open to asking. But yeah, same kind of feel. It was cool to do that as a freshman at North Carolina. Just like it was cool to do that this past year with the Tigers.
Yeah. One of the last couple questions I'll ask you here: what was your favorite field you played on in college, throughout college?
Ooh, I mean, I gotta go probably with the Charlotte Knights field.
That's Duke's field, or no? Where's the Charlotte Knight field?
No, so that's actually in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where they held the AC championship.
I got you.
Yeah, there's like 15,000 people there, probably 70% NC State fans, and yeah, we beat them pretty good and quieted them. So that was probably my favorite field.
Was that one of your favorite college memories, you think? Well, you won an ACC championship, right?
Yes. So we won one in 2019 and then in 2022. So
yeah. Wow, really cool. I mean, I hope to get the chance to win a conference championship. I was telling Nico, I mean, if you follow Iona at all, I think at Iona I had a combined like 20 wins in my 4 years there. And now I have 20 wins in 24 games in my first 24 games here at Tampa. So we're balling out, having a lot of fun while doing it. And just, I mean, winning baseball games again is something that I almost forgot the feeling a little bit. So wrapping this up a little bit, Danny, you'll be able to find this podcast on beyondthefield.pod. We post all the links there. Elevate Sports Media is kind of like the how we're running it through, but we end every interview with a scratch off ticket for our interviewees for coming on. So I'm going to start scratching this off here, Danny. It's called "You Scratch My Back, I Scratch Yours." So hopefully we end up getting a winner. And
Paul, if we win, then Dan can take some of the big league guys out for some drinks, so you can pay him back, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Danny, I don't know if you need this. Maybe it'll end up being a $30,000 winner, and you can take the guys out to a nice steak dinner and be like, hey, I went on a podcast and won a bunch of money. Let's all go out to dinner together.
Yeah, maybe if it's like $50, we'll see you round 2 at McDitton's.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, drinks in the city can be expensive sometimes. So anything we can win to help our, coming on here, we really appreciate you. So anything, hopefully, if we can win something here, we'll get something. So it's a scratch off the caller card, and the one bonus call, match 4 symbols. Okay. This is really like
sounds like a lot of directions for a scratch.
Yeah, there's a lot of I got to try and scratch off 2 different scratch offs here. Give me a second.
Paul, maybe next time go for the one where it's like just get 3 right and you win.
Well, yeah, I know, and I wanted to switch it up. I had a bunch of different scratch off tickets, and this one decides to be extremely difficult, like I'm taking the SAT or something.
So,
right.
Nico, what position do you play?
Catcher.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, maybe we should start doing that. Maybe we should let an interviewee ask 1 or 2 questions to us at the end of every interview. We're asking Danny all the questions.
Yeah. Dan, if you're curious about the business or just anything, please shoot, because I know that you and Paul know a little bit about each other.
Yeah. No, it was actually cool. Talking about, it's who Paul's old roommate, I guess, and ex-teammate, Will Jennings. He told me all about Elevate and stuff, and it seems really, really cool. Really good idea. I'm curious how you guys came up with that.
Yeah, it was I got that going in December of 2020. I actually started doing a podcast over quarantine. I was getting like nasty at Call of Duty, and on like week whatever, I was like, all right, I got to start like, making something of myself. Like that's just like I always feel like I always feel like I have to do something or else I feel like I'm just like being lazy or whatever. So I started this podcast and like, again going back to this, like the pure goal is just to like network and meet people in the industry I wanted to go into, meet athletes and stuff like that. And then it kind of grew into like, okay, I want to do something bigger. And then, Paul said it, like we've always wanted to be agents and work with athletes. So I was like, I'm going to launch something. I'm just going to start working with guys because I knew guys like Jay Hen and other guys of his caliber and stuff like that. So I got it going and just started sending out emails, um, you know, making social media pages, putting videos together for guys, bringing in like photographers and video guys to put stuff together, to post on social. And the whole goal is to turn like social media content into endorsement deals for guys who aren't at that point like yourself, where companies are going to be coming to you. So I wanted to turn like all this content into deals, and it's just kind of grown from there, just like meeting athletes and meeting people at brands. Like I've spoken with people who I've never really thought I'd be speaking with. I mean, like, in your case right now, like it's like I've always like seen that you're a Jersey guy, and like now we're just on here like shooting the shit on a podcast, which is great. And this is like what I love to do, is just kind of lay back conversations and getting to know people. But yeah, so I got this going like a little over 2 years ago. And I mean, Paul, it's probably been like 3 or 4 months now, or maybe even longer that we've
More. I
been
think
working
it's like
together.
5. Yeah, 5 months now.
Yeah,
Really
so
making some great strides. Except for the fact we can't win the lottery ticket, Danny. I'm sorry, we did not win. You
0
had
for
to.
2.
No, we're over right now. It's real bad. But I know I had a dream the other night that we won. I think I forgot to tell you this, Nico, that we won the lottery ticket winner, and like the video went viral, and it ended up like helping us like gain like thousands of followers on social media accounts. So it's gonna work.
You're gonna have to clip
Help
that.
us. Yeah.
After when that happens.
For when
Yeah.
it happens, we'll have both clips right next to each other, and I'll put the date Sunday, March 19th in here so that people know that I was serious when I called my shot. But Danny, thanks again for coming on. We really, really appreciate it. And hopefully, sometime in the future, yeah, maybe we can get you on again.
For sure, yeah. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Good luck this season, and
Thanks,
if you
bro.
ever need
Appreciate
anything,
it.
let us know.
You guys too. Go ahead and win that conference tournament.
Yes, sir.